All right, hello everybody. We got a couple of people watching already. Glad y'all could make it. We are here covering severe weather across the plains, and it is already very, very busy. Very interesting day. Current most interesting storm right now is this PDS warned supercell approaching Garfield, Kansas. So we're gonna start looking at that as we move in here real soon, and yeah, I think it's safe we can update this to a red zone here. Unfortunately, I don't have a fancy setup, so I can't. I have to manually change the colors of all the lights in my room, but it works. We've got Josh Morrell in chat with us here as well for radar analysis. He's up in Ohio in his studio, and I am here in Tennessee in mine. So that's an interesting signal, I have to say, on that storm. I know it's a confirmed large tornado, but it does not have that much of a radar signature on really any scan whatsoever. Tracking tornadoes in the plains is always interesting because we do see fairly elevated storms, and they're able to set their radar angles pretty low. So sometimes we'll go over the top. Goodness, that mezzo up near Hayes Center, headed straight into Nebraska, already in Nebraska, actually. That is a very strong storm. Are you seeing that one there? No debris, but very high velocities. Could just be the level it's scanning at, though. Yeah, this is our current storm of interest with the this PDS warning. It is heading towards probably east of Garfield. If it decides to occlude, Garfield may see a bit of a funnel come into their area, but it's headed primarily towards Larned, which is the primary area of concern if this gets near any towns. Fortunately, it missed. I hope it missed. Kinsley and Lewis went right in between them. There's a number of chasers on that one there. Headed towards Larned and Pawnee Rock. Down here near Freedom, Oklahoma, this area saw some interesting stuff fairly recently. We have this supercell cluster that's kind of trying to get its act together, but I mean has not successfully done so. Go ahead and reload. We're up to 21 active tornado events. So the Hayes Center storm has some crazy inflow. Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, that's a pretty beefy cell. I mean, it's not super well organized, so it's not that worrying. We also have this weird little complex over by Hagler. There's something on the southern end, but there's not much of, well, there's some rotation in there. There's definitely probably a funnel at least. But it's hard to tell with where it's located based on the radar station here. It's riding the boundary. I mean, you can see the boundary right there. Once this catches up to the cells that are ahead of it here, it may give them a boost as long as they keep up with it and don't get undercut. Yeah, there are so many chasers on this storm. I would not want to be on either of these highways right now. Absolute cluster of chasers clogging up that road for the moment. Josh, you still got me?
Yep, still got you.
Alrighty, just want to make sure. Take a quick look up forward here at these severe warn cells that are kind of preceding the main shortwave. Nothing of any particular concern. This one does have a defined mesocyclone just west of Buckeye. Let's take a quick look at the motion on this. The meso is developing, so even though it's not in a great location, if we were to see a tornado warning out of it, it is tracking about this direction, so we would see a warning somewhere right along here for Wakefield and Milford. Especially if this thing decides to produce, it may take kind of a right turn towards Milford. We've seen that a number of times recently with storms. Out in the plains, they do tend to take a hard right and send off a left split right before they produce. Aside from that, these are mostly hailers. Based on the warning, kind of as expected, we've got 1-inch hail headed through Emporia up towards Reading, Arvonia, and Linden. Same situation over here near Council Grove. Very broad, but not at all really worrying rotation on that either. Tons of scattered convection in southeast Kansas. So there's going to be lots of little lightning bolts and thunder, maybe a little bit of hail in this area, but nothing right now. It's kind of over convecting and killing off its potential for storms. We are seeing this one southeast of Garfield Cycle. So it's going to be headed north of Belpre or Belper, something like that. Larned and then Radium. It's probably, if we take a look at the kind of the trend here, it was definitely producing a strong tornado for a period of time, but since then it has become a little bit more disorganized. But we are seeing a bit of a meso handoff here, so kind of the approximate motion of this thing is a little bit off to the right. It's taken a turn. So probably Seward. You're gonna want to watch out for this thing. Seward, Radium, and Larned. Larned, it may go to your east, but there are going to be vortices headed up towards you, so expect a tornado warning here soon. It's not moving that fast, though, and that's the good news. Going to be a beautiful intercept for a number of chasers here. It's just kind of paralleling this highway between Belper and Larned. Aside from that, we are not super active right now, which is a good thing for the residents of Kansas and Oklahoma. Beyond that, according to strategy, it was dust wrapped and rain wrapped, multiple chasers on it. Yeah, I'm not surprised with where it is. Yeah, plains tornadoes tend to not have the most well-defined radar presentations, at least in Kansas area. So we'll keep an eye on this one. It is still PDS. It's moving off to the right side of the warning. I would say our primary tornado threat is kind of right in here, tracking off this way. If it decides to occlude, it'll come up towards Larned, so y'all be on very high alert once it makes it up to you. But as I said before, it's moving at 25 miles an hour. So this is a very slowly moving cell. Let me open up a little bit more details here, and we're gonna zoom in and see. It's not not super well defined. Lots of vortices in here, though, so there's probably a couple of little spin-ups behind it. It's just absolutely shooting off handoffs and occluding tornadoes. So this is a pretty dangerous cell that may be trying to get its act together even a bit more. Hello, Dakota. Welcome in. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to take a look at the surface analysis for this area. See kind of what we are working with here. Plenty of capes still in far western Oklahoma. I think we may see initiation down there of some more cells right along the boundary as this thing moves across, as we see the dry line kind of progress across the state. The interesting thing with this system is the instability looks to be very, very contained right along the boundary. So we're not seeing a lot of these cells get enough juice that form, not a lot of prefrontals that are able to get enough juice to be anything particularly extreme. I mean, we're working with about 2,000 joules per kilogram of cape with the primary cells. This is why I'm more interested in this one down here in Oklahoma. It has plenty of instability. It has some fantastic shear vectors as well. So I think these southern cells, including the PDS one, will probably be the main event as we progress into the evening hours and the LLJ kicks in a little bit more. Take a look at the composites here with the violent tornado parameter, which is quite literally maxed out. It cannot actually go higher over these two southern cells. So again, those are the primary area of concern. The rest of these are kind of outpacing the primary ones. We've got Seesaw. Hello there. I think I was talking to you earlier. in Gabe Garfield's chat while I was watching his. Yeah, it's definitely not performing as to expectations right now, but I definitely wouldn't call it a bust. We've already had several large photogenic tornadoes, including a wedge that a couple of chasers saw. It had a very similar lean to that Bridge Creek Moore kind of backside thing. Oh, this isn't interesting. They've updated the PDS warning to just include Garfield, which I think they may be canceling it as well. Yeah, if the LLJ kicks in tonight, we're probably going to see a lot more. Not saying that we don't have plenty of low-level shear right now. I think instability is probably the inhibiting factor. We had all of these cells kind of out front of this pop up, and all of these things here may have stolen some of the energy. Again, if we look back at this, there is absolutely nothing out ahead of these cells for them to run with. And if we look at kind of the previous trends, we'll see that that stuff is staying right along the boundary, but it is rapidly increasing. So I am assuming that here, once this merger is complete, we got a kind of a right moving cell and a left moving cell coming together, and they'll probably track somewhere off this direction. Once they are fully finished with this storm interaction, I think we're going to see a pretty significant tornado, probably just northeast of Freedom. Or if this merger happens faster, we may see something happen on top of Freedom, or it could be as long as getting up to Aetna or Hartner. I am butchering these town names. I don't need Y'allbot to defend me, though. There's not enough people here. Hello to everybody watching. We've got quite a few people online. But we're going to keep tracking this. Again, this cell here is the primary area of interest. We may be seeing a little bit of a meso pop up on the back end of this first cell. I think once it merges with this other one, give it maybe 30 minutes, and we'll see it form into a tornado-producing supercell. Let's check in back in the one up here with Garfield. This is a very strange cell that we're looking at here. It looks like it may have not succeeded in the handoff that it was trying to do yet, and the primary meso and the dominant meso behind it is still producing a tornado, which would make sense for the updated PDS warning or regular warning that I believe they just extended for Garfield. Yeah. So PDS is canceled. We're back down to a normal one. I think we're going to see, once this kind of finishes this cycle, pretty large cycle that it's doing, we're going to see a new meso pop up on the eastern side where that arm is kind of reaching out. It does have kind of a little bit of a boundary it's riding on, but yeah, Garfield is likely seeing a weak tornado or a funnel come through its area right now, not seeing anything on debris, and there's nothing particularly concentrated on spectrum width. So right now, I would be more concerned for Larned and Radium. This thing here, this arm, is going to be our next area of concern as it moves kind of up this way, maybe a little further off to the east, again, if it makes a turn. So I cannot draw to save my life. We'll probably see a new tornado warning somewhere in here, I would guess, over the next couple of minutes if this thing decides to pull together. We look at the upper levels. There is some pretty strong inflow coming in on this east side. Again, it is recycling, so it's going to be a few minutes while it gets itself organized. But that's what I would expect to see. We've got a billion chasers on this one as well, so it's going to be very well covered and reported if it decides to do anything. Further back up to the north, we do still have these tornado-warned storms heading into Nebraska, and this one that we were talking about with Hayes, good call there with strategy. We are seeing this one probably be the dominant meso. That is a fairly strong amount of rotation. There could be a little bit of debris in there. It's hard to tell with the hail core, though. This would be a very rain-wrapped embedded tornado within this, and actually could have twins kind of popping up here. You can see those two areas of well-defined rotation. So this is headed kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's moving up towards the North Platte area. just past Hayes Center. There's nothing going on down here near Palisade, at least that's warned yet. Absolute mess of convection up here, so we'll probably not see a lot more. I am interested as to what this collection of cells is going to do over the next little bit, because again, it does have the boundary. The dry line is moving through as we speak, and it looks kind of messy up in this area. These cells, I think, these are moving to the east, northeast, and they are trying to latch on, but I think, judging off of the boundary orientation here, they are probably undercut and are not capable of producing anything significant, at least for the moment. They managed to latch onto that dry line and stick with it. They could produce something a little bit later on. Boundary QLCS, northern mode is definitely going to go QLCS here soon. Can't say it's going to stay that way. It may just gust out and turn out to be just hail for a while. But I think pretty much everything north of, I would say, this line here right now is not going to be capable of doing all that much, at least not at the moment, the way the atmosphere is. But we do have one tornado warning down here in Texas, near the Santo and Gordon area. This is moving east towards Fort Worth. So hopefully this is not going to be a particularly long-lived storm. It's going to be hard to tell. I don't think we need double alerts going on there. Thank you. But there is a very well-defined little hook on this thing. It is a tornado producer at the moment. Nothing particularly okay, well, hold on. It's hard to tell, but there is some blue on CC drops, so we're seeing some inconsistency. I don't think that's debris. I think that's just clear air, but it is very close, so we'll keep an eye on it. Lots of turbulence ahead of this thing as well, so it is looks like they did pop up something here. What you got, Josh?
Yeah, just chiming in on that one. I've been watching that one for better part of an hour, I would say. It's been going through cycles probably since Abilene area, maybe a little bit east of that, but looks like it could be going through another cycle, another handoff, something like that. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because it looks like it's moving towards I-20 and, like you said, approaching the DFW area. Good thing, not moving very fast. Other thing I was gonna say, looks like that was that Grinnell, Kansas storm did have at least a couple areas of pretty significant damage there. So I don't see any news of anyone hurt yet, hopefully. But yeah, that one did at least clip part of that town there.
Interesting. Yeah, we do have a new tornado warning on the previous, over top of the previous PDS. We may have had, I mean, these storms are still capable of doing damage. This is a day we expected to see at least a little bit. Fortunately, plain storms tend to not do a lot because they're kind of out in the middle of the nowhere always. But, yeah, Garfield is under the gun right now with the previous mezzo being handed off. That is a very large mezzo handoff as well. Hopefully the damage is not too bad. I haven't seen anything. If I take a look through my Twitter feed here, not seeing a lot in terms of damage reports. I see the one Brian just posted reports of, it looks like fairly extreme damage in Grinnell, Kansas, but nobody has been able to confirm if that's legit. It's an interesting photo. It doesn't look like it's recent. It's hard to tell. Hopefully that's not a real photo, but I would not be surprised if we saw some damage, which is very unfortunate. We always hope to avoid that sort of thing during these days, but we have the National Weather Service for a reason. So yeah, we have one photo of damage cycling around, sent by a friend in Grinnell. It's a photo taken from reportedly taken from somebody that was reposted out of a Discord. So we will wait to confirm the authenticity of that report. But as it stands now, there is nothing too extreme. We're going to bump the color down to just an orange for now. So we will keep an eye on this one as it continues moving past Garfield towards Larned, and that area. I do wanna check in for sure on that Garnal storm as well. Switch my colors around here without screwing it up too much. I love that these remotes operate on the same frequency. So every time I change something, it changes the other lights. Strategy just sent another report in. I'm quote tweeted. Let's take a look here. All right. That is a yikes. There's a bit of a yikes there. Significant tornado damage. Okay, looks like we do have confirmation of fairly significant damage because we have a couple more shots now. Take a look at where this is. Yeah, I'm taking a look at maps real quick, and we have significant road closed, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. However, we have major traffic backups. Let me just go ahead and put this up on the main screen here. We have roads closed and very slow traffic on either side of Grinnell, so I do think this is authentic, and we do have severe damage, unfortunately, in northwest Kansas. So we're gonna pan back on over here. I want to take a few minutes look back. It's unfortunately just a massive radar hole here too. Yeah, that whole area is just an absolute mess of storms. But photos I'm seeing right now, not looking good. There is debris all over the place. Fortunately, I'm not seeing any particularly nasty or slabbed homes, but we do have very severe damage. I'm gonna pull up NKS radio and WKS radio, and we are seeing. I'll put this up on the main. We are seeing some pretty heavy damage, it looks like. Scrolling through here, we had 2 tornado warnings. Grinnell, Kansas, west side took a direct hit. Church has no roof. Homes leveled. That is never good to see. Yep. Very, very big yikes for sure. It's hard to tell if this was a particularly what this looks like to me, just immediately looking at damage, is that it was probably a pretty wide wedge tornado, somewhere in the EF3, maybe EF4 with these trees, unless these were dead before, which they might have been. Very wide tornado, but doesn't look like it was particularly concentrated because a lot of these structures are still standing. Looks like there's some more in there that may have taken a hit, but we will keep very close eye on that area and see what comes out of it, because that is very unfortunate to see. There are lots of tornado reports in that area, so there definitely was one that came through. Probably, I would guess, maybe an hour ago. Looks like we can just kind of see the end of the mezzo from that one. But that is very, very sad to see. We never hope to see that during a day like this. Yeah, there was absolutely a tornado in that area. Oh, wow. We zoom in on that real quick. It looks like, just going off of what we saw, it was an occluding mesocyclone on the back end, kind of Greenfield-esque on the back end of just this massive rain. Very strong. There's the debris signature right there. Very brief. It ended right after it got to town. Spun up here, probably touched down about 10 minutes later, and immediately started doing damage once it got into town. And I mean, it died within maybe 5 minutes. So that is a very interesting situation. But looked like it was probably a fairly broad circulation. EF3, maybe low end EF4 winds, just trying to guess right off the bat. But anyway, we're going to keep tabs on that. Keeping an eye on this supercell. It looks like it is still trying to reorganize, so not much of a concern with that one yet. These cells down here in Oklahoma have merged, and so we now have clear inflow on the southern end of this one, heading up into it, and there's going to be a meso probably forming down here somewhere as it tracks off about this direction. Take a look down at the Texas cell. Ooh, that's a big one. That looks very familiar to what we saw fairly recently. We are getting some tornado reports just a couple of minutes ago. Oh, that's hilarious. Source Spotter Network narrative right here. So I guess bro drove into it and then said, all right, now's the time to send a tornado report. Just my northwest. Yep, so we do have a confirmed tornado, looks like, headed east, just south of Santo. Hopefully it's not doing any damage. It's, again, very hard to tell with the clear air there, but it is just to the southeast of Santo. Take a quick look at that. What you got? You have something, Josh? Oh my goodness, looking at that.
Sorry, not particularly. I was just looking at that cell. Like you said, have a couple observed reports now. If it's not on the interstate right now, I mean it's right there. So hopefully, being Sunday, there's not too many people out, but definitely, I wouldn't be surprised to see an extension on that warning here pretty soon.
Yep, I'm gonna take a look at the area of Santo. Fortunately, the southern end of town where this thing probably is looks fairly unpopulated. If I had to guess, let's zoom in a little bit more here. I think we are seeing some debris get kicked up just a little bit in the middle. The most concerning thing, wow, that is a scan. The most concerning thing about it for me is this ball of turbulence that we have on spectrum width, and all of the turbulence ahead of it in this clear air. I mean, it has wide open inflow. It was kind of a messy sort of it tried to go linear, but it just cleared out its inflow. So I think, man, that looks bad. I think we're going to see a PDS, at least a confirmed, if not a PDS tornado warning, right about here. As it heads east of Santo and towards the DFW area, which, yep, there it is. And my map just decided to throw me halfway across the country. That's nice. There we go. We have a tornado warning observed with 2-inch hail, headed just east. Beat that thing by like 5 seconds. Headed towards Creston, Annetta south. If this thing starts to move with the general shear vectors, it's going to head towards Annetta and Benbrook. But it could stay latched onto what it's got now and head towards Crescent, Oak Trail Shores. Y'all are probably going to be okay. And Lipen, North Lipen, keep an eye out for this. It's headed towards you now. If you are anywhere ahead of this cell, you definitely need to be sheltering ASAP. And then, unfortunately, it is headed towards the greater DFW area. Hopefully, this is not going to be a long tracker. We didn't really expect to see super strong cells down this way. So we'll see what it does, but I do not like what I'm seeing on radar here. We have enormous amounts of rapidly moving turbulent air and then just an absolute chonker of a dominant mesocyclone with the tornado underneath it. Looks like it's multi-vortex, seeing lots of turbulence and not any particularly clearly defined core of this tornado yet, but this looks like it's going to be a pretty significant event. Again, with the Santo area, it's somewhere down here right near Cody Park and baseball softball field, which I hope to God that they did not decide to have anything today. It's a Sunday, but everybody needs to stay aware of that. We do have a couple of farms and locations ahead of this thing as it's approaching the interstate. A couple of chasers, but it's, thank goodness, stays mostly rural, at least for the next, I don't know, maybe the next 15 miles or so. And then we start having issues as this starts to head towards Fort Worth and Crowley and Everman. Ahead of this thing, it has plenty of time to fall apart, but it also has plenty of time to strengthen, so we'll need to keep a very close eye on this because this could be kind of a major sneaker event as we see it progress towards Dennis and Western Lake area. This is a pretty significant town kind of out in the middle of the area here, so these towns need to be prepped as this thing is headed straight towards them. It's really hard to tell what it's doing, but it is, I mean, it's resolved itself. It's cleared out its inflow completely and turned into just an absolutely massive supercell headed towards a very populated area. So we will keep a very close eye on that. We're going to go back up and see if we have anything new. Looks like we're calming down just a little bit in Nebraska. That is a very significant rain-wrapped, chonky wedge headed towards the North Platte area. I think it's taking a bit of an eastern turn. Looks like we may have some reports of damage potentially for this area as well. Sheet metal wrapped around a stop sign, a silo blown over. Not at all surprised there, and some broken power lines. So this is a fairly significant tornado that we have going on here. It's a little far from the radar to see details, but this is headed straight towards North Platte. I mean, it's been going very strongly for a while, and if we just trace the path that this thing is taking, just starting to make a bit of a right turn, it is headed, I mean, it's headed straight towards North Platte, kind of in this general direction. So that whole area is going to need to be preparing very, very soon. Hopefully they get an extended warning headed up towards that way. It doesn't seem like it's moving incredibly fast, but it is moving a little quicker than some of the other storms. Yep, 35 miles an hour. Not seeing much of a debris signature, but it is in the middle of nowhere, so that could kind of mean anything. Lots of turbulent air in there, so that's a pretty significant tornado event ongoing. Back down here in the Garfield cell, it doesn't look like it's done much. Still very broad rotation, kind of messy. Not really anything worrying about that. Although there looks like an uptick on the spectrum width here, kind of across the whole cell. So if it gets a dominant mesocyclone going, we could see that produce something up near Great Bend, Pawnee Rock, and Hoisington. But I don't think we're going to see much beyond that for the moment. Back down here in Oklahoma, from the looks of it, this cell is probably still trying to get its act together unsuccessfully. It's not oriented with anything, which is very strange, because if we take a look at the surface analysis, technically it's in the best spot it possibly could be. Supercell composite in that area is extremely high. Not surprising, effective layer supercell composite's up to 12. And the new SRH tornado composite also very, very high. So for whatever reason, it's not doing anything right now, but I can almost guarantee you that it will here in the next 30 minutes, unless it outpaces the available instability. So keep an eye on that, and we're actually going to Climo map for the DFW cell. Woo! Look at that photograph. Tons of streamwise vorticity here. Very, very, very high low-level shear on this. And the QT It's in a prime environment. I mean, if you look at that, we've got a cap over that area that it is successfully broken through, which means we are probably not going to see much choke up its inflow at all. The only goodness, that thing is massive. Absolutely enormous mesocyclone on this thing. I mean, that whole area of the storm is rotating. So we are probably seeing little subvortices pop up right along the edge here. We can have maybe 4 almost visible at the moment. That is a pretty serious situation, and I can see it has plenty of favorable inflow here. I don't know if I'm using spectrum width correctly, by the way, but that's what it looks like. So again, this is headed straight for the DFW area. That's a little far out for the moment, probably in about 30-45 minutes at the most. But this cell is moving at, let's take a look here, 25 miles an hour, so it is not moving very quick. That's not good because it means it's going to do more damage, but that is good because it has plenty of time to fall apart before it gets into populated areas. This whole area here ahead of it is pretty much empty with the exception of a couple of towns that we looked in there. Dennis and Western Lake are kind of the primary areas of concern as it's moving towards those right now, and the Horseshoe Bend area are all right in the sights of this thing. So hopefully it's going to fall apart here once it crosses the interstate, but I don't have much hope of that. It's got probably a good 5 to 10 miles of pretty much nothing here that it's going to progress over, and then it starts to move into the Dennis area. So Dennis, you are going to need to be in your safe place ASAP. It is coming straight for you, and then Western Lake. Beyond that, there are some suburbs kind of in this area that need to be on the lookout. We can see kind of where it is right now because of the traffic. I love Google's new live traffic that they've been keeping up with. Let's take a quick break from live and take a look at the latest model runs. The 0Z HRRR is coming out right now, and kind of as expected, it's having these little cells here grow into kind of more of a monster supercell and take a hard right turn. Little bit more up in here in Kansas, but this whole area, this supercell is a little bit worrying. Goodness, look at that shear. That is a very, very significant hodograph, but not a lot of instability. So this whole area, this could produce a tornado at some point in southern Nebraska, but aside from that, this is all going to get pretty clogged up and not going to do all that much more for the rest of the day as it loses its instability. However, this cell could be a problem. Looks like a big hailer, but we could definitely see a strong tornado out of it as well. For the DFW cell, it's looking like it's going to hold on for a while. The instability for this whole area is expected to start dropping off here as we do progress in the evening hours. We still have plenty of it moving up into Kansas, but also a bit of a warm nose presenting some convective inhibition here, actually. So we may not see too many more storms form. We're going to have to kind of rely on our current ones to do anything significant. But we will see an uptick in tornado probabilities for that area, at least for a little bit, and also plenty down here in the DFW area. Taking a look also at the RAP, kind of pretty much agrees with the HRRR. We're going to see favorable tornado conditions down here in Texas for a while, and then a lot near the Oklahoma Panhandle. Plenty of instability, again, that we're going to continue to maintain, and the hodographs are going to be scary for a long period of time until that front starts to move through very, very slowly, and then we start to see everything come right back for the next day. So we are starting to look at Monday as well with a fairly significant outbreak over Oklahoma. Don't think we're going to see a lot up in Kansas. This is going to be a Texas and Oklahoma event for sure. Beyond that, it's going to move into Arkansas, and then we're going to be looking at a totally different situation there as well. Ooh, that is looking real bad. That is a massive, massive mesocyclone. This is, I think, going to be our story, at least for the next hour. It's generally progressing kind of right along this just straight east area. I think it's going to start to take maybe a little bit of a northern curve, which is not a good thing. But that is the biggest supercell we're looking at right now. Again, no debris, but it is in the middle of area, so the middle of nowhere. So that's kind of what it is. I mean, you can see the donut hole of what is likely a bunch of subvortices just traveling around here on spectrum width, and then plenty of little areas of sub-rotation just circling around the outside of this thing. It's likely rain-wrapped, I would take a guess, but it is very, very much headed towards some more favorable environment. Cone tornado from Stephen Cross. I think right now we're probably seeing a bunch of large subvortices. I mean, this gives me very much El Reno vibes in terms of structure. We are seeing pretty significant Arkansas cells might take us out. Yeah. We'll take a look kind of over here because I know there was a couple of things popping up just to my west, and we are seeing some interesting things. That's some side lobe contamination. That's not a mesocyclone for the moment. But this whole area does have some surprisingly significant cells, and we did see the risk kind of get extended over towards us. I'm here in Jackson, and these cells are moving generally, I believe, kind of to the east-ish. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. If anything does pop up, it's going to be in this area. It's ingesting a lot of mergers and does have some favorable shears, so we'll just keep an eye on that as it heads towards Wynn, Forest City, and Memphis. But for the moment, that's kind of all we're looking at. Nebraska is still going. This cell is making its way up towards North Platte as we speak, but it looks like that dominant meso is dying out, so that's pretty good news. Lots of damage reports in this area. Ooh. That is one I don't think I've actually seen before. Power lines torn off the poles. And then plenty of poles broken as well. So there was a fairly significant tornado that probably went through this area recently, off of this mesocyclone here. But this is headed towards North Platte, so if it decides to strengthen again, that whole area is going to be under a tornado warning, but it does look like it's falling apart. I think it's finally running out of steam, so all good news for that area. Back down here near Pawnee Rock, again, nothing much going on. Some hail in that storm, but it does look like it's losing steam as well. So we're kind of going through that brief period of weakening where the instability starts to drop kind of across the whole area, but just a little bit after that, we see the LLJ kick in, and we get into more of a shear-driven tornado situation as opposed to instability. Real quick, I'm gonna shoot somebody a text. We are up to almost 100 tornado events. Alrighty. So, bring that down here. Got a lot going on right now. Again, once the surface analysis updates, I'm curious to see kind of what our trend over the next couple of hours is going to be with these storms. Again, that one in far northern Oklahoma is expected to really get its act together here very, very soon. And I agree with that. However, it's taking its sweet time with it, so we'll have to see about that. But Freedom, you're in the clear. I don't think you're going to see anything else tonight. And as expected, we do have initiation down here to the south. New storm trying to go up. It's kind of struggling, so we may not see anything off of it. Looks like it's dying down, but if it does break through that weak cap that's in the area, we're going to see probably another tornado producer pop up there. real quick. Let me take a look through all of my feeds here.
The Florida coast.
Right. Oh, we are just now getting we are getting more footage from the Otis project, which is a Storm Chaser scientific project of getting drones into tornadoes, and looks like they're just releasing some footage now, so I will be posting about that here very soon. Oh goodness, we're seeing more damage photos come out of Grinnell. Again, I don't want to say it looks extreme because I don't think it really necessarily does. Oh, we're getting reports here. Tornado crossing I-20. Some footage here. Woo! Yeah, look at that. That is an absolutely massive, massive mesocyclone. Pretty crazy stuff going on. So yeah, there's a confirmed tornado from Joe Ponce on the ground headed towards Fort Worth right now, which is pretty concerning for sure. Yep, destructive storm. That's pretty much what everybody's talking about right now. That is a very, very, very concerning situation. All right. Yeah, it is. It is going right along I-20. It's staying south of it. Staying south of the interstate, fortunately, but it is again headed into unpopulated territory, kind of, and then it's headed right towards DFW, and they have upgraded the warning to a PDS, large and extremely dangerous tornado. Yep, that is a very significant situation. All sorts of favorable inflow into this thing, and we are starting to see what looks like a little bit of debris pop up in it. It's getting a lot more organized. We're not kind of seeing that donut anymore. It's more of a core thing. Hopefully that means with the way that plane cells go, that it's going to probably be on the ground for the next 5 miles or so, and then it's going to lift and it's going to recycle. But cannot bet on that at all because this does have the look of a long tracker as well. So again, let's take a look really quickly at the areas ahead of this thing. It's kind of in this area now. So there's a couple of structures in this area. Pippin Ranch, looks like there's a barn of some kind, and a couple more things, but for the most part rural till it reaches Horseshoe Bend. Dennis, it is starting to take a little bit of a southern turn, so it may not make it to you and Dennis and Western Lake. I don't want to say that for sure, though. It could very, very, very easily take a northern turn. Horseshoe Bend, you are right in the right ahead of this thing now. A couple of neighborhoods in this area need to keep a very close eye on this. It is staying rural for the moment, but it will not stay rural for the entire time. Once it reaches the river, it's going to have to hit something, unfortunately, and then it's headed towards Crescent and Wheatland as well. Getting a little bit of a merger from the south here that could potentially choke it off, but also has a pretty good chance of feeding into it. Also, some massive hail on the back end of this thing as well. So this is a destructive storm, regardless of tornado or not, which we know for sure is on the ground. Further north of it, we have a severe cell, not going to be a tornado producer. Back up in Oklahoma, we are still looking at this little thing is struggling. It's got some hail in it now. I think it may put off a left split, and then it's going to take a right turn past Etna toward Hazleton. So once it does that, I think we're probably going to see it become a potential tornado threat. But for the moment, we are out of tornado warnings as of now, which is good for the residents of Kansas and Oklahoma. Probably not going to stay that way. I will mention that this storm down near Great Bend is starting to get more of a tornado look to it. If it decides to hold on to whatever's feeding it for the moment, this could potentially produce another tornado. As it kind of moves in this direction, it's headed towards the Great Bend and Hoisington area. It's moving real slow, so y'all will have plenty of time, but it is getting that tornado look again. So we're going to have to start taking a bit of a closer look at this one as it progresses across the state. Back up here, kind of in northern Kansas, we're looking at a fairly significant line of hail as this heads towards Stratton. This is probably going to have some pretty high-end wind gusts, 60 mile an hour with 1-inch hail that may continue to climb as it feeds on this boundary. Again, it's undercut, so it doesn't look like a tornado producer right now. Back up towards North Platte. This storm does still have a very dominant upper-level cyclone, mesocyclone, and we are seeing that start to strengthen again. I think we may see another tornado out of this soon. Looks like it's taking a slightly westerly course, so it may cross the interstate somewhere here. It's going to be still in the North Platte area, but we are looking at probably, if this continues doing what it's doing, we're going to see a tornado warning across this zone here. North Platte, keep an eye on it. It could take a slight eastern turn and head towards town, but for the moment, it looks like it's just going to go for more unpopulated areas to the west if it produces a tornado here soon. Back down to our main story. Again, back down here in DFW, looks like this thing, based on where it's placed in the storm right now, it's rain wrapped, but I think it's about to cycle again. So it may lift and then produce another tornado. It looks like it's starting to get cut off a little bit. We see that inflow zone getting a little bit pinched off here. As you can see, kind of the overall circulation's wrapped out here, but then we have the front flake downdraft. Very, very narrow area of inflow available to this thing, but it is a monster, so it can kind of do whatever it wants. So we'll have to keep looking at that very, very closely as it moves across rural territory. Yeah, that's it for the moment. We don't have a lot going on. We do have some severe warnings now over near Memphis, with these storms headed towards Wynn. A little bit of rotation on the southern end here near Cotton Plant. Nothing worrying. I don't think we have enough shear out near our area to do much at all. Yeah, pretty limited low-level shear. There's a little bit that it's feeding off of just to the south of it, so it does have a chance of doing something, but all of the indexes and parameters are pretty low for this area. So this is not much of a threat, but I've seen stuff produced with these parameters in this environment. VTP is a little higher in that area as well. Still absolutely maxed out for western Oklahoma. And these storms are starting to outrun the favorable environment too, so that's good news. Still pretty high up near the North Platte area, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. That is still capable of producing stuff. Weirdly enough, though, down here in near the DFW area, it's starting to outpace the favorable zone. So I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that as it progresses to the east. Just going to bump the sector down here a little bit so we can take a closer look at that. Tornado environment in that area is still pretty high, so this thing is not running out of anything major. But it is in a pretty good environment regardless. It has plenty of cape down that way. I say plenty of cape. It doesn't have a ton of cape, but it's got 3,000, which is absolutely enough to produce tornadoes. Take a look at our surface observations. We are seeing that warm front come across. You can kind of see right here, we go from 72 or 69 all the way up to 90s across maybe a 200-mile gradient. You can see it just creeping across there. We have plenty of low-level shear headed up towards this cell as well. I'll take another look at that. Don't have a lot in terms of don't have a lot in terms of, what am I trying to say? Historical data for this area. But it is definitely still in a favorable environment. Take a look at that photograph. That is pretty insane. Lots and lots and lots. Could be a hail producer pretty easy, but plenty of low-level streamwise vorticity. So it's going to continue producing likely tornadoes for a little bit. In an area of maybe 2,500 surface-based Cape, plenty of shear, 26 miles an hour or 26 knots near the surface, and then it increases as we go higher in the atmosphere. Tons of SRH, though. We have almost 300 0 to 1 kilometer SRH. That's storm relative helicity, so that's measurement of pretty much how fast these storms can spin and how much inflow there is. 0 to 3 kilometer is much higher, which explains how we kind of have this massive mesocyclone and then a little bit of a smaller tornado beneath it. But we're gonna zoom back in on this thing and kind of reanalyze it as it moves into more rural areas. Good news, the meso has fallen apart. So it is not particularly strong right now. I almost guarantee you that it is cycling. We've got some reports of damage as well. Just a down tree, so that could have been from the front flank downdraft as well. But this is still a very dangerous storm. It is very, very plausible that it is going to produce something again here in the next couple of minutes. Just a huge area, huge mesocyclone, just producing lots of little tornadoes. It is occluding to the north, so anyone in the area needs to be careful because we've seen it kind of take this wobbly route, and now it's moving this way. So it's probably going to occlude, and we're going to see a new meso either here or here as this feeds in kind of along the inflow bands. So we'll want to watch that as it continues to move off in this direction. Very, very consistent in terms of the direction it's moving. So we're going to see it probably cross some of the roads here and head towards just north of between Annetta South and Crescent. Plenty of time before it reaches DFW. Again, this thing is still very far away. It's going to be maybe an hour until it gets that far east. Definitely reports of hail in the area. 2-inch hail reported from Spotter Network. Not surprised at all by that. A very significant storm. We have a new tornado warning up near Great Bend. This storm just continues to be stubborn, and as we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we do now have a tornado warning on this thing, and it is headed towards Olmutz and Hoisington. The meso is taking kind of a slight northern shift, but for the most part, it's headed pretty much right towards Hoisington. So this is kind of the direction it's moving right now. The tornadic part of the storm is taking a bit of a northern turn as it occludes again. This thing is rapidly producing really short-lived but stronger tornadoes. As you can already see two right there underneath the dominant mesocyclone. So Great Bend area, we've got plenty of chasers on that, headed towards Hoisington, Olmutz, and Albert. Keep an eye on this thing. You are in the warning, so be in your safe place, be sheltering, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. Doesn't look like it's going to be that extreme for the moment, but this thing does have a fairly favorable environment. Take a look back just further. You can kind of see how it is progressing east by northeast. Again, Hoisington's right in the sights of it. I would say that's probably the best approximate direction you can give for the storm. But the meso is heading pretty much directly north. Let's move back down to DFW. Lots and lots and lots of tornado reports with this thing. Checking on the new scan, we still have very broad, very strong rotation on this thing, but nothing concentrated enough that would suggest we have a violent tornado on the ground. I still think we probably have... we probably have an active tornado in this area somewhere within here that is mostly going to be surface-based for the moment while the main meso reorganizes itself. It's getting choked off by all the rain popping up here. This has happened a couple of times where it gets out by itself, produces a tornado, and then a bunch of convection comes from the south, temporarily chokes it off, but acts as a merger to spin it back up. Again, you can see it just occluding north there. And then we're going to probably see a new meso get handed off somewhere in this area, progressing in that general direction. So if you live anywhere ahead of this, please be in your shelter. Crowley, this is headed to you, and Mansfield, Cedar Hill, it's probably going to stay south of the main Fort Worth area. Over the next hour, hour and a half, it's going to be moving through these areas if it holds on to whatever it's latched onto right now that's feeding it. It's hard to tell. We have another smaller cell down here. I say smaller. It does have a meso, and it's got that kind of soaring eagle shape to it where we got the wings and the beak. So this is a potential tornado producer if it is able to strengthen and grow. Right now, not looking at much rotation on it at all. We're just seeing that hodograph. This is a great example of, I mean, this is a fantastic example of a hodograph. Let's take a sounding from this area real quickly. If you look at the hodograph here, look at that. We have that little curve and then a straight line. So if you keep that image in your head, let's move back over to it, and we can literally draw that hodograph out here. Right there, that's the hodograph. There it is. It shapes your storms. And then we have some of the upper levels that are getting hit by this section of the hodograph. This is the far upper atmosphere that these storms can get to, and that's why we have kind of this winged eagle shape, because some of it's making it up to there as well. So we have a fairly explosive updraft, plenty of hail on it as well. This thing could be a tornado producer, but I don't think it has enough shear to do so right now. Back to DFW, because there's nothing else to talk about right now. This is pretty extreme. Main tornado is still occluding somewhere in this area. Maybe a little further south. It is stationary and moving very gradually up towards the interstate. Don't think it's going to make it. I don't think it's possible. And then we have a bit of a gust front here and a bit of rotation starting to form right in the inflow notch. We have inflow. This, I have to say, this is kind of a giant Fujiwara area. This entire area is technically rotating. Take a look at velocity. You can kind of see this just giant area of rotation with this southern end of this storm. So this whole area is the updraft. We have the new one forming here as the previous one gets cut off. We had the inflow region look kind of like this before, and now it's moved forward, and we have an inflow notch that's ending right here. So somewhere in here, we're going to see the new mesocyclone as it heads towards Crescent. So Crescent, please be in your safe place. You're right on the edge of the PDS warning now. We are now down to a radar indicated rotation PDS warning, which does happen. They're seeing this is a very, very potent cell, very, very strong one. Heads up, radar is frozen on the DFW cell. Is it really? Oh, yeah, it is. You are correct. Every once in a while, I don't know why it does it, my computer stops capturing stuff, so we're going to restart capture. There we go. Thank you. Kind of go back over all of that as I was saying. Inflow region is pretty much keeping this thing from producing right now. It's cut off for the moment. Thank you. I know OBS is accessing my screen. I don't need to be told that. So kind of along, you can see this giant area rotation I was just talking about. Is going to probably produce another tornado. It is very, very potent. This is a very large cell. We're going to see stuff form and flow in here, and then new rotation pop up here as it heads towards Crescent and east. Anyway, that's pretty much all we got going on right now with this cell. Was about 15 minutes ago, so let me go back over the hodograph I was talking about really quickly, because I don't think that got captured, and it's a very visible thing. Hodograph for this area. I'm going to draw a line here. Here's the line. We also have this going on up here. If you take a look at the sounding for that area, you can literally see the shape of the storm. This is what the hodograph is very helpful for. It shows how an updraft is going to be shaped as it goes through the upper levels of the atmosphere. So you can visibly see the shape of this supercell in this area. We are starting to get a bit more rotation, so this is going to be cause for concern here in the next 15 to 20 minutes potentially as it heads towards winters. So winters, keep an eye on this thing. Make sure to have plenty of ways to have warnings. Back up here near Great Bend, we have a tornado warning on this thing. It's hard to tell because it is literally out in the middle of nowhere in terms of radar, so we can't see super well what's happening with it. It doesn't look like we have a lot of let's go learning. Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest things that I learned, and I wish I had been told earlier, is that you can read a hodograph, and the hodograph shapes the storm. Shear shapes how these things look, and it can decide whether it's rain wrapped. It can decide whether if it's a violent tornado, if it's a multi-vortex. Back up here near North Platte, this entire area looks like it's good for tornadoes. Fortunately, that thing looked like it was going to drop a SIGTOR right in the town of North Platte, but for the moment, it seems to have calmed down and is just a hail producer. So we are good on that. Yes, thank you for letting me know that my phone is online. I finally got my little 6SE from God knows when charged enough that I can use it. It takes 30 minutes to charge from dead. So I'm using my iPhone. My new iPhone is my face cam right now because it's the only one that actually works with OBS. So that's that. Still very interested as to why we're not seeing that much with this cell down in Oklahoma. That's got to be disappointing for everybody watching it. It's getting dark outside, so we're losing some of the instability. Let's move back up here just a little bit. That's not where I want to be. There we go. See what the environment is like near this cell. STP is off the charts. So if this thing manages to get itself together, it could very, very easily produce a large, dangerous tornado. But for the moment, it's really not doing all that much. Hodograph is favorable, but the skew T is pretty good. So I'm not entirely sure as to why it's not doing much. I think lapse rates are probably not great enough near the surface right now is what it looks like. So we will have to just keep watching this thing, but right now it's genuinely not doing all that much. This one up here is starting to run into a capping inversion. We have just a little bit of sin. Surface-based cape is, that can't be right. Yeah, wow, it's running out of instability. That's the problem with all of these storms up here is they don't have any cape feeding them anymore. This one has dropped below 1,000, so we could very well see this this cell kind of just burn itself out. However, let's take a look here. We have new supercells popping up behind these storms. These ones, if we take a real quick look at surface-based cape here, these are in a much, much better environment than this cell is up here. It does look like there is still some pretty significant rotation in that one. Doesn't look like it's traveling all the way up, but there's probably a tornado on the ground there. Not seeing any debris, so that's good. Nothing's being lofted. We have some chasers that are very, very close. Probably seeing a funnel cloud right now if they're in the good spot. These we're going to have to watch. These are near Dodge City, so they're kind of just a little bit located right in here, kind of along the nose of the remaining instability. We are up to 6,000 in western Oklahoma. If there is any kind of forcing that reaches this area, which would be something along the lines of, oh, look, the boundary that's moving to this area, the dry line, we may see some stuff pop up here, which is why we're seeing so many chasers located back further this way. They are focusing on that core of instability that is enough to probably drive some new cells to pop up in a much more favorable zone. Been a little bit, so we're going to come back down to DFW. Very elongated area of rotation here. It is still not wanting to let that previous meso go. But it has pretty much at this point expired, the previous meso, and this has been downgraded to a radar indicated tornado warning with 2.5-inch hail. Nothing to sneeze at. If this makes it up to DFW, this is going to be $1 million hail event. You get giant hail in any sort of a city like that, and you're going to see some pretty significant damage. Oh, yeah, that's what we've got for now. Josh, you have any observations? Mm-hmm. Yep, I am taking a moment to look through, and we're getting a scary look on this cell as well. I think I probably saw that video, and it looked like it was almost like from the one that I saw that we had almost like sub stovepipes with some really big subvortices, which is not at all surprising, because just take a quick look back on velocities here, and I mean, it was just an absolutely enormous mesocyclone on this thing with a whole bunch of well-defined subvortices traveling around it. Fortunately, it has died, so that's not much of concern anymore. But the new meso is forming; it is there. It doesn't look like it has any mergers, but there is a bit of a boundary leading into it. There's the new meso. It's headed right towards North Crescent. It's starting to take a little bit of a southern turn, so it's starting to target town. Previous towns that I mentioned, Horseshoe Bend, Western Lake, and Dennis, I think you're going to be okay. This thing is starting to take a little bit of a more southern route. May take it back for Horseshoe Bend. I think this thing is actually approaching that area right now. So please, 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 please be sheltering. There is quite a bit. There are quite a bit of neighborhoods in this area, so this is not unpopulated anymore. Once it crosses by Horseshoe Bend, it's going to be headed right towards Baker Baptist Church, SEC Mini Built at Galloway, a whole bunch of businesses and neighborhoods in this area, unfortunately. And then it's going to be headed to Crescent. Crescent we have a couple of manufacturing facilities and neighborhoods kind of along the road here. So there's really no good place for this thing to cross, but it is headed right over Horseshoe Bend. Not producing anything right now for the moment. It looks like it is off the ground, but we are seeing that surge in unstable, turbulent air flowing into this storm. It has nothing blocking its inflow. So I would guess we're going to see another tornado drop here within 10 minutes. Somewhere around this area, we are going to see a tornado come straight down and head towards the Crescent area. So we are not anywhere near out of this yet. Thank goodness it is moving south of the DFW area. And is going to probably stay in less populated areas. Less populated being a relative term, of course, because there are still tons and tons of people that live in this area. Mesoscale analysis for it. There's a little bubble of Cape that it's feeding off of right now. Take a little bit further look south. Bulk shear for that area. That is probably an error. I doubt that's actually happening. We're looking at 55 knots of bulk shear. Surface to 6 kilometer shear up to 60 to its south. Again, plenty of Cape for that area. Storm relative helicity to 500 meters is around 100 to 200 in that area, so not insanely high, but we do not need insanely high storm relative helicity. About 250 to 300 in that area in terms of surface-based SRH. So this is still going to be a very, very dangerous storm as it moves just south of DFW. That meso is still there. It's not strong, but we are minutes away from seeing another tornado touchdown here very soon as that meso starts to wrap itself back up. I can't imagine we're not going to see another tornado out of this. It just has that look, but it's going to be a couple more minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that. Latest model runs. The 1Z model run showing still plenty of favorable tornado potential across Kansas. We're seeing kind of a surge. That's probably the LLJ kicking in, so we're going to see another very, very round photographs for that area as well. Could end up being some rain-wrapped ones. Latest HRRR run is also coming in. Reflectivity is showing these storms. DFW one is kind of expected to strengthen, which is not great. But our tornado risk is dropping because it is running into some absolutely garbage lapse rates. So it may have some trouble getting surface-based here soon, which could be the one saving grace for this storm. Aside from that, it's going to produce another tornado. Like, there's no question about that. This storm up near Hoisington does still have tornado potential, but it does not look all that extreme, so all good news for that area. Taking a couple of different angles at it, and it's got a dominant meso, but it's hard to tell from the distance we're at if it's going to do anything. North Platte looks like it's still good. Yeah, nothing concerning there. The line has caught up. We are seeing also this one, the boundary is firing off, and we have all of these cells popping up here, but these are a wind threat. They are not a tornado threat. The cells down here in Oklahoma, this one does look like it's dying out, and this could actually end up being a merger for these if they continue moving east. Not seeing anything incredibly organized, but there are mesocyclones forming here with these cells. This one's pretty elongated. Again, you can see that photograph kind of forming right here. Right now, these are not worrying, but they could become a concern very, very quickly. I have to restart my monitor capture every couple of minutes. I don't know why. Judging by the amount of chasers in this area, I do think they are seeing kind of what we're seeing. Yeah, OBS just hates me. I don't know why it likes to stop the capture pretty frequently. Let's go ahead and update these here. A couple more IAM bot pings. Latest tornado warning is for Barton, Kansas. I'm going to go ahead and look through my notifications and the feed. Tyler K is directly in front of this supercell as it's headed towards him. Get your cars inside if you can. There's going to be some pretty wild hail on this. In this cell, I'm looking to see if I can find any more damage shots. Scott City, Kansas, substantial damage in Grinnell. Looks like we've got a video. Woo! That is a nasty storm. Yep, as expected, that is that was a massive, massive wedge that went through town. I will go ahead and we'll take a look at that up here. Just copy and paste. This is a look from Tyler at that huge cell that we had coming in that did damage in Grinnell. That is a massive tornado. That's the one that I mentioned had that kind of a lean to it on that side, which looked very, very reminiscent of Bridge Creek Moore tornado. I'm not saying I don't think it was at all that strong, but this was a very substantial tornado that did pretty significant damage to Grinnell. So search and rescue is ongoing there. We'll take a look. Switch back over to my account that has all of this. Here's the damage that we're looking at. That is bad. Minimum high-end EF3 damage probably in this area. This is just heartbreaking to see some absolutely horrendous damage in town. Those trees are throwing me. I cannot tell if those trees were alive or not. They look like they were, but that is some unbelievable damage. We've got debarking. All of the branches are snapped off. Absolutely terrible look. Goodness, that is horrendous to see. Yeah, these trees, these are showing some pretty extreme winds. We've got at minimum partial debarking. They're just snapped off, not a single minor branch left. All of these houses are destroyed. Looks like we may have some ground scouring there as well. And there's an exposed slab here from whatever building was there before. Sirens at the area were malfunctioning, but had ample warning time. That's very hard to see. Prayers for Grinnell, Kansas. Absolutely horrific damage. This was a very, very short-lived, very intense tornado that went through the area, it looks like. But this entire area has been absolutely destroyed. Looks like, yeah, that's kind of what I would expect. Very, very, very much Greenfield style. It went from a large wedge down to a smaller, violent stovepipe as it went through town. Just stuff just absolutely scattered everywhere. Direct hit on town. Have some horribly mangled cars as well thrown into fields. Hopefully everybody's okay, but realistically, we're going to see some injuries, if not some fatalities from that as well. All right, well, while we're thinking on that, we're going to take a look back down here at DFW. So this cell is, again, getting its act together, but it looks like it may not have the energy that it did before. The whole storm is shrinking. I think it's running out of instability. Oh, come on. The whole storm is much smaller and less intense than it was before. So we're probably not going to see, I want to say we're not going to see a lot more come out of this thing, to be honest with you. I think we might see another tornado here in the next couple of minutes. We could be seeing one now, but no debris. There's a very, very small concentrated area of turbulence. So I think there's a small tornado probably on the ground right now, near and just east of Horseshoe Bend. And again, that's still headed into the DFW area, but it's starting to get a little bit more of that hailer look, where it's getting a little more elongated, does not have anywhere near as much convection down near here, where the mesocyclone base is. So we hopefully are going to see that thing slowly expire here. This one down here it's got a boundary. It's ingesting a little bit of outflow here. Headed towards Winters, but it doesn't look like, I don't think this area, there's a decent bit of rotation there. We'll keep checking in on this one. It's not an active tornado threat right now, but it could become one at some point. Looks like we have a new tornado warning up here with this QLCS event that's ongoing in extreme southwestern Nebraska, headed towards the McCook and Culbertson area. Does not look like it's particularly violent, but it is likely producing a spin up tornado of some kind in this area. That could become something. It's actually headed a little bit more this general direction. So it's probably going to miss the towns that are in front of it right now, but it is headed up towards Curtis, Moorfield, and Stockville. Doubt it's going to last that long because it's QLCS. We have another little chink in the line here. We'll have to watch this little curve as it pops up and heads in this direction towards Culbertson. Not much else going on. The Great Bend storm here is pretty much a write-off at this point. I don't think we're going to see anything else out of it. Still has a mesocyclone. I expect a tornado possible tag, maybe. Now, I was just mentioning the tornado watch, and the max wind gusts are probably about 50 miles an hour from that warning as well. So we are starting to see just a general drop in everything there as well. So this one is not much of a concern. It's headed towards Lincoln, so expect some hail damage there. This is concerning. We have this new band of convection that's finally broken through here near Greensburg. These cells are going to take a little bit. They're going to merge, and then I think we're going to start to see tornado warnings out of one or two of them. This one can become dominant by itself if it wants to. It's not doing that right now. If it latches onto surface flow, it's going to be able to take a pretty hard right, but you can just see all of these things blow up. I don't think this is going to be able to do much without some mergers, and it's kind of out by itself right now, so there is a mesocyclone. We'll keep an eye on it, but not too worrying. However, this cell complex to the south here is very reminiscent of the El Reno cell complex that eventually spawned the massive El Reno tornado. So we will want to keep a very close eye on this as, let's take a look. General direction is north by northeast. If any of these cells are to merge and latch onto surface flow, they're going to take a right turn. They're going to start heading in this general direction. So we'll keep an eye on that. Maxville, Byers, and Cullerson, Lewis, all of y'all, keep an eye on it. It's going to be a little bit, but we're going to see some stuff pop up here soon. We also, that poor little cell that tried to pop up in Oklahoma has finally died out. I think the cap finally got to it. Back down here in, wonderful, my capture stopped again. Gosh, I hate this program. I don't know what the problem is. Ooh, that's a pretty crazy look. We're gonna have to start taking a look at some upper level radar scans as well as this gets closer to the radar. From all of these scans here, I think this cell is finally dying. It's reaching the city bubble. Not that that's actually a thing, but it does seem like it. Where it is pretty much dying out. We have something here. We have a little bit of rotation on the northern part of this storm here that's popping up. I don't know what to make of that, but we'll keep an eye on it. Benbrook, keep an eye on this. I don't think it's going to produce a tornado warning, but it's very interesting that we have some rotation there. We could see another broad mesocyclone emerge in this area. You can see the hook here, but I don't think it's surface-based anymore. I think it's finally run out of juice for that. So hopefully, that's pretty much going to do it for this cell as it heads towards CFW and Cedar Hill. But we'll keep watching it. It is still tornado warned, capable of probably a weak tornado up in here somewhere. Just want to keep watching it. It's kind of all we can do right now. back up with this QLCS system. Nothing crazy. I think they're going to let that warning expire. Great Bend Cell still has very limited upper level rotation, but it's dying out. So that makes kind of the story of the day. We're going to have to keep watching these because we have this twin set of mesos. We've got one like right here, and we've got one actually down here. Very low precipitation. There's probably a really cool little barber pole going that direction. If anybody's on that, it probably looks really neat, except for the fact that it's pretty much dark outside, so it probably doesn't look all that great at all unless we get some good lightning. But we're gonna want to keep watching this. It's headed this direction right now. If it latches onto anything and merges, it's probably gonna be headed more of this direction. So all of these towns need to be preparing for this to become a tornado producer. This northern cell doesn't look quite as good, so I'm not too worried about it for the moment. Gonna go ahead and look through this here. Y'all should absolutely take a look at that Project Otis stuff. That is some very cool things that they are doing. Very impressed with that. I'm gonna go ahead and repost this. All right, we do have a sorry, not tornado warning. We have a severe warning and a special weather statement for the southernmost cell of that convection we are watching pop up. So we are starting to move now, and we are getting some rapid rotation forming up near Lexington, northeast. Headed towards Greensburg. Expected tornado warning here soon. This will be tornado warned. I can almost guarantee it. LJ starting to crank. You betcha. Whoa, we are getting a rapid uptick in rotation. Super low precipitation. Yeah. Yes, Dakota, we're talking about it right now. We will see a tornado warning here very, very soon for this. If not, it may already be on its way. This is that's actually a really scary look, to be honest with you. Not loving how that looks. Right. Um, I would go as far as to say we have an active tornado on the ground right now northeast of Lexington. Just got a whole bunch of pings from IamBot. I would assume that's probably the tornado warning. Let's take a look here. I have so many windows open. Nope, that was a couple of expirations, actually, interestingly. Yeah, that is wrapping up incredibly fast. We should see a tornado warning ASAP with that. This needs to be warned because it is rapidly increasing and it's headed towards, I mean, it's headed straight for the town of Greensburg. Kind of right, yeah, it's headed right that way. We're gonna see a tornado warning here soon. If I was Ryan Hall, I would be issuing a y'all watch that would probably look exactly like that. This is getting really worrying. I don't. Something feels off about this, and I'm not loving it. I mean, the speed at which that came together is pretty insane. What do you mean my disk space is almost full? Well, I figured out why the capture keeps stopping. Give me a second to fix that. That's kind of insane. Well, chat, I know why the stream keeps stopping because I am literally out of disk space. I don't know. I've been trying to clear out. If anybody knows how to do this, please tell me. I've been trying to clear out my system data, which is over 100 gigabytes, for months now, and nothing I get can do it. I don't understand what the issue is. Probably. Um. Genuinely, no idea why we don't have a tornado warning for that yet. We should hear very, 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 very soon. Copy some data over. Some data. Technical difficulties. Alright, we should have some disk space free now, so we shouldn't be stopping our capture every couple of minutes. Fantastic if that could just not happen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're back. Does that drive your primary drive you save recording videos and games on? No, I have, the issue I'm not recording this. And all of my recordings and games, there's a tornado warning. Let me get my capture going again. Hopefully it won't shut off. All of my captures and everything go on a 2 terabyte drive that I have that's plugged in. But unfortunately, my computer is stupid and it has 100 gigabytes of system data I can't get rid of. And between that and all of my music production and such, it literally, it's genuinely fills up my drive so fast. So my next computer I will be getting will have a much larger SSD. So this is going to the east a little bit, which is good because it'll miss Greenberg hopefully, and hopefully not go as far east as to hit Haviland. Current trajectory that it's on right now, good lord. May take the stream down for a minute. Trajectory that it's on right now, it would take it to Haviland or Collinson. So as it heads east, it's headed straight for Haviland, which is, got it right there. That's a strong tornado. Like, it's hard to tell exactly. We don't look like we have any debris, but plenty of turbulent inflow. You can kind of see the boundary it's working with right there. RFD getting shot off the back end of it. We'll watch for that to kind of slowly wrap itself around. But that is a strong tornado. That is on the ground right now. It's headed for Haviland and Collison. Greensburg, you're probably going to be okay unless it does something really weird. But this is very, very similar to El Reno, just in the shape of it. Again, I'm not saying El Reno is going to happen, but it looks almost exactly the same. All right. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the stream and, I'm going to shut down the stream and then I'm going to come back online here as soon as I possibly can. I just have to restart OBS. So I will be back very, very soon. And we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully that's gonna do it. Chat test. Chat is good. We're moving. So this is headed towards Haviland. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bump this. We're going to stay orange for a little bit longer. I haven't checked on the DFW cell for a while. Let's take a look at that. And good news, everybody. The tornado warning is gone. This storm is burning itself out. Looks like we're just going to have some hail. Unfortunately, not that much hail either. Goodness. I may have to... Like, every time I click something, OBS is like, I'm going to stop doing that, actually. Let's do something else here. All right, we'll see if a good reset there will do it. All right, so this storm is pretty much completely burned itself out. I don't think it's going to produce anything else, probably for the rest of the day. That's ideal, at least. Back up here again for the Greensburg tornado. That is a pretty significant signal. That is a strong tornado. Looks like it is occluding. So it's probably going to start a cycle. It's occluding up towards Greensburg, but it should probably, it's going to head up like this way, and then it's just going to kind of spiral and die right here. Hopefully, that is the best case scenario. But this is definitely our storm of the night right now. My overlay causing interference with the stream. I doubt it. I don't see why it would be doing that, but I can always double check. I've had this issue with recording before, and I've also had it with like pretty much everything. That is a very significant tornado, and if I am correct, it looks like we may have a debris ball. Yeah, we have a debris ball right there. Very, very visible. That is violent. Very, very strong rotation on that. Gate to gate is what are we looking at here? 100 to maybe 40. So we're looking at maybe 140 gate to gate. Not incredibly intense, but that is very, very strong nonetheless. All right, what we're going to do here. We are just going to capture radar scope itself for now, so it can hopefully just leave me alone, and if I need to show anything else, I will. So we have a debris ball for sure. This thing is doing damage. It is headed currently towards Greensburg a little bit. I think it's going to pass east of Greensburg near Haviland, or at least in between Greensburg and Haviland. We are going to have to keep a very, very close eye on this thing as it moves into more populated areas. This is a pretty serious situation. It's headed approximately up towards, let's go and update this real quick. I can't get this freaking thing to work. So we now have a PDS warning attached to this. This is a very, very serious tornado. We have a strong debris ball on it as well, headed directly towards Haviland. It's going to be moving up. It's occluding right now. It looks like it's moving kind of up into the storm as the storm progresses this way. But this is the approximate path of it. It's going to be passing hopefully just west of Haviland, but it looks like it may be taking a little bit more of a lean towards the town. What we're probably going to see is this is going to occlude off this way. we're going to see a new tornado touchdown probably somewhere around here. If this is the kind of cyclic supercell that we usually do, it's probably going to look like that over the next couple of minutes, maybe a little further over. But that is most likely what we're going to be seeing for a little bit. So we'll need to keep a very, 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 very close eye on this as it approaches the road. We've got some chasers on it. So Tornado Pagey is out there. But this is, again, it's rapidly occluding north, fortunately staying west of the road. Very, very strong rotation, and holy moly. Absolutely insane debris ball on this, too. This is a very worrying tornado. I'm hoping that doesn't mean it hit something, but I can't imagine there's anything out there tree-wise that would produce something like that. So this is, again, this is looking really, really nasty. Looking hopefully like it's gonna stay away from the towns. But I can't guarantee that it's headed straight towards Greensburg and Haviland. Very, very worrying. If you are in Greensburg or Haviland, please be ready to take shelter. I know you're not in a warning yet, but you will be here pretty much immediately. This thing is going to be headed up that direction. It's moving at probably, 35 miles an hour? PDS tornado warning. Moving northeast at 40. So this thing is moving a little quicker than the tornadoes we've been using, but that is a massive debris ball. We've got severe amounts of debris up in the air right now that is extremely intense. It doesn't look massive, but it looks very violent. So we will be probably needing to watch this thing very, very closely as it continues to move up that direction. All right, we have a new warning for the town of Greensburg. It's coming straight at it. We have a PDS warning for the town of Greensburg. Hopefully, from what it looks like, this tornado is occluding. Hopefully, it absolutely is occluding, which is part of why the warning is being issued in that direction. You can watch it. It does a little, just a little curly Q action here. It's pretty much stationary right now. It came up this way and it took a curve and it stopped right here. So right now it's not moving, but we're gonna see, I can almost guarantee you, a new mesoform and head off this direction here very soon as the storm progresses up that way. Lots of debris still up in the air. This is still a very violent tornado. Really hoping that the town of Greensburg doesn't get anything. If we take the approximate path of this tornado, which is going to take us we are seeing that late night violent tornado action where it's curled up here. We're going to see a new tornado touchdown right here. Hopefully it misses town, and it's just going to keep doing that over the next couple of hours. Likely path of it's going to be up this way. Hopefully not this far west. Hopefully this thing stays where it is, and this new one does a little curve and goes right in between them. I think that's what we're going to see, but Greensburg and Haviland, take shelter now. This is a storm capable of producing strong to violent tornadoes. We need to keep a very, very close eye on this. Keep watching it as it moves up near towns. Very, very dangerous storm. This is a really, really unfortunate looking situation here. It is still going. It's still stationary right there. Looks like it's taken a little bit of a forward move, but we are starting to see that new area of rotation pop up right here, and it's going to be headed this direction. So Greensburg, Please, please, please be in your safe place. This is a very dangerous storm capable of strong tornadoes. None of these other cells are worrying at all. We don't have, oh, we do have a new tornado warning down in the DFW area here. Hold on. North of it, actually. This Yep, it started spinning just a little bit ago, and looks like we have kind of two separate mesos, but there's that upper one that's in, I guess, sort of a QLCS scenario here. But that is a tornado warning. It doesn't look all that strong. It is still radar indicated, so that is good news as always. But let's take a look here. We don't have any debris. We do have a very clear defined area of turbulence there, so this is going to be a strong storm. I could see it overtaking the rest of the cell and becoming something very similar down here as it heads right towards McKinney. So McKinney and Frisco, please be aware this is a dangerous storm headed into your area now. Oak Point, it is over you. Little Elm, Prosper, Frisco, and McKinney, you have minutes till this comes at you. Again, not a confirmed tornado yet. We don't seem to have any visible debris, at least on radar, so that's all good news. This could be a very brief spin up, but be very, very careful. This is a very populated area, so a lot of people need to be aware. Let's go ahead and move back up to our PDS here. If this plants another strong tornado, I think we're going to see a tornado emergency. It is still progressing directly towards Greensburg and Haviland. It's still looking like it's going to pass in between. I don't want to say that because there's a good chance that this does touch down and do damage in either town. But right now, as it looks, excuse me, this is going to be moving. We're going to see a new meso pop up here. You can already see the rotation starting. We just need the rest of it to hook back in and plant. And it's going to be moving in this kind of general direction. This tornado came up this way and stalled. We're going to see this probably do the same thing. Another one plant and go here. Hopefully it doesn't sideswipe the town of Haviland. But this is probably the most dangerous storm that we are going to have, at least that we're going to have warning on. The other most dangerous one that we've had was the wedge that hit Grinnell. Hopefully everybody's okay there. Haven't heard any reports of fatalities or injuries yet, but given the look of this storm, it's safer to assume that there were some. Oh, as this moves up to Greensburg, it is, yep, we can see that happening right now. This is kind of a worst case scenario. We had the previous one come up here. It's being re-inhaled into the current meso, and it's probably going to provide a boost for it. So we're probably going to see another violent tornado drop out of the storm momentarily. Yep, it's sucking in the previous mesocyclone. We've got a pretty serious situation here. Hear my cat outside. We're just going to sit here and watch this as it closes in. This is getting really concerning. Yep, you can see the new meso pulling itself together right there. Not a good look. All right, we just have to keep locked in on this thing. It's hard to tell. We may have some more debris in the air already, but it is planting another tornado as we speak right now. Go ahead and take a look through the loop here. See if we can trace kind of this tornado's path as it's gone along. Because I think the way that these storms the way that these storms kind of plant and lift and plant tornadoes can be used pretty well to analyze generally where they're going to end up next. So we have that spin out, and then there's going to be another one here. And then we've got that new one. I don't like how close that's coming to town. That's getting really, really close to the town of Greensburg. And actually, it's even a little further over than where I drew it. That's really not good. I don't like where that line is headed right there. I mean, there's no question that this thing is about to produce another very strong tornado. It looks like velocities might be dying down just a little bit. But just a little bit is not a lot, and that can change from scan to scan. So we have very, very strong tornado producer headed up this way, straight into Greensburg. Plenty of inflow on this thing. It has all the inflow that it needs. If we just go and zoom in here, there's lots of clear air, so it's hard to tell, but we do likely have debris in there. It looks like some of the debris from the previous tornado might be actually just straight up being sucked right back into the new one and carried along on the mezzo. I'm still hoping that it is going to go east of Greensburg, but it's getting very, very close to not going east of Greensburg. Let me go ahead and let's take a look over here. Take a real quick look at our surface analysis. See what kind of atmosphere this thing is working with. SDP is extremely high. SCP is extremely high. It's got 3,500 capes, so it has no lack of instability. 63 knots of effective shear. So our helicity is 600 meters squared per second squared, which is insane and totally makes sense why we're getting a violent tornado here. You are right. Failed occlusion. SIGTOR parameters, it is well within SIGTOR parameters, if not above previous observed ones. The SCU-T, I mean, lapse rates are good enough. It has all the moisture it needs to work with. It's got all the cape it needs to work with. And unbelievable hodograph. Very strong tornadoes. Plenty of streamwise vorticity. It could be a little less curved, but I mean, you really can't complain with a storm like this. Surface-based cape, plenty of it in that area. It's riding the edge of it as usual. 4,500 cape is still to its south. Surface 1 kilometer shear. Got about 40 knots just to its southeast, so that's pretty much what it's working with right now. We have that driving motion. A little bit of a curve here, so it may push it a little bit further west, which is, again, the last thing we want to happen. And oh my gosh. We have probably a wedge on the ground there with subvortices on like 3 or 4 sides of it now. Gosh, I hate when that happens. Greensburg, this is a extremely, extremely dangerous tornado, and it is coming right for you right now. I expect we're going to see a tornado emergency here soon. It's going to depend on what kind of a path this... Definitely a wedge. Yeah, I would expect so. We've got chasers that are right on it, and it planted right in front of them. Current path. Current path is going to take it right here. And that is really, really close. Some structures are going to be hit. This is a violent tornado. There's going to be damage. Let's take a quick look at that area. That's not the right Greensburg. Greensburg, Kansas. It is, let's see where it is right now. We've got 183 here. We've got the Mennonite Church. As usual, as soon as I went to another window, it stopped the capture. It is coming just over the road right now. If we put that right in perspective, we can zoom this in here. It's somewhere right in here, kind of near these crop circles crossing over the road. We have a couple of structures in the area. This one in particular is probably going to take a hit, unfortunately. And then it is headed right towards Greensburg. East Greensburg, especially with the Cannonball Golf Course BTI, but also South Greensburg as well. I expect, given this, that there's probably a developed neighborhood here that's not been scanned in yet. And I mean, we all know Greensburg has a history with tornadoes. This is a really scary situation. Does not get much worse. There we go. I bet that's a Torii. Nope, still PDS. This is, I mean, this is a huge tornado. We have the donut hole again. We have subvortices racing around this thing. Plenty of inflow surging in right now. Looks like we have some debris on the southern end of it. It is really, really close to town now. Again, I'm gonna try and zoom in and match this up because again, I don't have the software. It's like right here. There's a couple of structures here, unfortunately, that are being impacted right now, and it is headed up and hopefully is. Here's the worrying thing. It is developed so quickly that it barely took any time. And it is, if it occludes, okay, current direction it's heading is taking it right on this side of town. However, if it occludes, it's going to curve up and it's going to core Greensburg. So please be sheltering, be underground if you can. Just being in your closet if you have a storm shelter is not enough at this point. You have to be underground. This is an extremely dangerous, extremely violent tornado that is headed right into the town of Greensburg. Just to think about it, beyond that is Belper and Maxville and Byers, so please be aware, and Lewis as well. But we need to keep an eye on this. I'm going to take a quick second, and we're going to look back down here near McKinney just to see what's going on down here. I don't think much is happening, but the warning is still here. This is probably a potential tornado producer over Little Elm right now, headed towards Frisco. Populated area, but no damage. And not a super well-defined mesocyclone, so not super concerned with that, but that is a potential tornado producer, so please be careful. We have still PDS unless I am somehow clicking on the wrong thing. We have reports of what looks like damage, power poles down and broken. Yep, not surprised. Could have twins right now. It looks like there may be two separate areas of rotation here. Otherwise, this is just an absolute chonker of a wedge headed right for Greensburg. Based on velocities, I think it may be about to cycle again, which, if it stays on its current course... All right, good. Yeah, I wasn't getting it, but I figured since it was a smaller one, we have a tornado emergency for Greensburg right now. Yeah, this is, it looks like it's going to take that eastern path. If it occludes, it's going to go right into town at the moment, but right now it's staying east like we thought it would, and it's going to go just east of Greensburg. Still some structures there to be hit. If we take a quick look over here, this area of town, especially the gas station here, is going to be most in the sights of it. If it starts to occlude in the next 5 minutes, it's going to go over the golf course and the Greensburg Inn, Cannonball Stage Line Highway. Fortunately, I think worst of it is going to stay out of the main area of town. Unfortunately, if my assumption is correct and this is a developed suburb, it's probably going to take a hit. There's some structures down here that are going to be impacted, or depending on how where the radar bias is taking it, could be being impacted right now. Velocities look like they've come down just a tad, and we're not seeing much debris, but we are minutes from this hitting town right now. Um, Looks like it could stay out a little further. It could stay out of town right now. If it doesn't occlude and it doesn't try to do a handoff, it's gonna stay east of town. And I think based on the pattern we were drawing with that little hook up here, and then another one, it's gonna get past town and it's gonna occlude somewhere up here, which is also rural, thank goodness. But can't bet on that. I mean, it's coming really, really close. This is about as close as you ever want it to get. This thing is absolutely huge. And it is coming straight for town. We have some chasers still on it. Colby Martin, I think, if I remember right, Paige was on this as well. I'm going to take a look, see if I can pull her stream up really quickly and just see if she's seeing anything right now. This is pretty insane. Okay, they're live right now. Her and Bryce Shelton. Yeah, they are just a couple of miles behind this thing. I think they are either down here, they're with this spotter dot, headed up into Greensburg. Yeah, I think they're down here. Yeah, that's where they're at right now. They are currently trying to locate this thing. We have a donut hole now, so it is still a massive wedge. Looks like we may be seeing a little bit of debris kicked up here. But this is, again, a tornado emergency continuing for Greensburg. It's going to be really, really close. This is just going to be a couple of miles from coring downtown Greensburg. Hopefully it's going to go to the east. Kind of waiting on the next scan to come in at this point to know that, but it looks like it's taking a slight eastern route. Oh, it's going to be close, though. It's going to be extremely close. It's complete darkness out there, so, I mean, nobody can see it for the moment. It is definitely still on the ground, yeah. Again, not seeing a ton of debris. A little bit of clear air there, but this is a violent, large tornado still on the ground, kind of stationary. It's hard to tell, but it could be trying to do a handoff right now, off to the east, which would take it here and safely in between Greensburg and Haviland. If this detaches from the main mezzo, it's going to go right into Greensburg. That's the biggest concern right now. Current path is not going to take it into town, but it is large enough that it could still be doing damage in town regardless. Latest radar scan just came in. I'm going to wait to see where velocities take this thing. But it's coming straight in. It's going to be in town within the next 5 minutes probably. It's not moving that fast. Just going to keep watching it as it gets closer. We've got somebody really, really close to it. Colby Martin. Let's see if he has an active Twitter. See if I can find him, if he's streaming anything. Oh, here we go. Still going east. It's gonna hit some structures. It's big enough that it's probably going to be doing that. Yeah, he's out there right now. I don't think he has a live stream though. I'm gonna shoot him a follow, see if he posts anything. Um, holy crap. I'm gonna put this up on screen right now. This is a live look. This is a screenshot taken off of, I think, Paige's stream, where we just have the monster of monster wedges right there just a couple of minutes ago. That is absolutely insane. Thank you, Dakota, for posting that. Tornado emergency has been shrunk appropriately. It is, I mean, I think the town of Greensburg, not parts of it, but the primary town of Greensburg is going to be safe for the moment. Maybe. It's down here. It's right in this area, and if those are indeed developed suburbs, they just took a pretty significant hit. It's tough to watch. So if we put that there, okay, I think it's a little further out of town than we think. I think it may be going to the south just a tad. There is still going to be damage. Looks like we have maybe a subvortice breaking off on the side here. We have that actually could be a satellite tornado. That's worrying. We may have a satellite tornado right there. We have subvortices here and here, looks like. But this is still a very large, very violent tornado passing just to the south and east of Greensburg. Fortunately, there's nothing out here except the gas station, it looks like. Beyond that, there's a couple of silos, and that's about it. This set of homes is probably going to be hit. Potentially this one, depending on if I'm triangulating that wrong. Just an absolute monster. This thing is absolutely huge. Confident it's not hitting anything right now, because we are not seeing much debris kicked up at all, but this is still a very large, very dangerous tornado. Looks like it is occluding just as it's passing town. Houses on 31 and M Road might have taken a direct hit. Yes, I think that too, unfortunately. It's headed this direction, so it's missing town. We could see a new meso pop up here, and this could stop up here just north of town. I'm really hoping it doesn't do that. That would be bad. We've seen that before in this area, so it would be great for that to not happen again. Ooh, that's not good. We've got a cell forming to the south that's probably going to act as a merger. Yeah, if this thing holds on to it, we may see a merger happen somewhere up here. Fortunately, it's going to be past town at that point, but then it's going to be headed up to Seward and St. John. Greensburg, I think, is okay, though. The edge of the tornado is going to be somewhere around here. These areas down here, I think, probably did take a direct hit. We will definitely need to see search and rescue out there. It looks like we have a little bit of debris being kicked up. It's losing some of the structure, so this is weakening briefly. Yeah, it's weakening fairly quickly, but there is a nudger coming in from behind, so this thing is probably going to strengthen again. But as we expected, like, I don't know what, 20-30 minutes ago, it's going right in between the towns. It's missing town, thank God. Because we almost just had Greensburg Part 2 there. Twin circulations, yeah, I see that. We have one here, Looks like an anticyclonic one back here potentially, and there's another here. So it's dissolving into a big set of multi-vortex tornadoes, but it is still very much on the ground and very dangerous. The nudger is worrying. The nudger is very concerning. It could be destructive, but I think it's going to spin this thing back up a little bit more. But we have this coming in from behind. This is nudger theory. I'm gonna bring up my external audio for a little bit because these headphones hurt for a long period of time. To where lots and lots of inflow with this. This is a very turbulent merger. It's coming in from behind. Nudger, not merger. Still down. Oh, definitely. It's occluding, but it doesn't look like it's moving very far. It looks like it's going to stop right here. We're going to see a new meso pop up and head this direction. Whoever this person is, you have balls. Dustin Wilcox is in a pretty wild situation right now. That is not where I would want to be. I don't know what that is. That's something happening. This little blue area of velocity this is an insane mesocyclone. Thank goodness it is officially missing the town of Greensburg. There were likely some structures hit. We are seeing some debris pop up, but it doesn't look like there was a significant town strike, which was very close to that happening. This nudger is about to make things very interesting, though. This is going to come in behind, and nudgers can very easily enhance the tornado production of a supercell. I mean, we have a classic supercell with the nudger coming in behind here. You can see it's catching up to it. If it catches it, it's going to make it ran wrap for a little bit. It'll probably sort itself out a little bit, and then we're going to see it continue on up towards Maxville and St. John. Byers, you should be good. Lewis, you should also be good. Kinsley, don't even worry about it. Maxville, that is the problem. Maxville is going to be directly ahead of this thing. We have chasers pulling into the area already. St. John, keep an eye on it as well. It could head towards you. Another failed occlusion. It is still one dominant tornado. It did not occlude or lift, and it's crossing the highway now. Somewhere along one of these road intersections here, there are still again some structures out here. This set of homes, unfortunately, is probably right in the path of this thing. Maybe a little further east. We have these homes as well that are likely being impacted. That is correct. This is an insanely healthy cell, and it's moving up this direction. It's got a lot of farmland to go over. Can we bring up just a regular map, please? My computer does not like me streaming right now, but yeah, it's going to be headed up towards Maxville, up into the northeast. There you go. That's very impressive. They got the road closed. So the road is already closed to traffic, it looks like, until midnight. So kudos to the local Greensburg PD or whoever it was that shut it down. We have the road that the tornado was crossing over is shut down for the moment, which is very, very impressive. Tornado emergency has been shrunk down a little bit more. We are continuing to head north with this thing. Northeast, again, it's headed right towards Maxville. I think it may head east, just east of Maxville as well, but that is way too far out to tell, and this nudger is about to shake things up. Uh, dude, you have got to move. I hope he moved because you do not want to be right there right now. That is a terrible place to be. Looks like he's getting out of the way, but cutting it a little bit close there. All right, we are in the final minutes as the nudger is coming in right now. Branham. Hopefully it's just radar delay. Yeah, he's moving. He's gonna be in the outer circulation of it, but it's over the road right now. Again, kudos to them getting the road closed down. That is very impressive. But we have the nudger coming in now. It looks like it's it's got its own mesocyclone. So we're getting a double supercell formed up here. We could see a tornado warning somewhere along these lines in the next couple of minutes for Haviland. Hopefully the energy does not transfer, but unfortunately this seems like it's a very violent tornado environment. So Haviland, be prepared for another tornado to head your way. Quarter-mile worth of power poles snapped. That is insane. Another failed occlusion, and we got a nudger coming in. This is about to be a very violent tornado. It's headed up to the northeast. Yeah, this is probably going to be another tornado producer. We could see another violent tornado out of this. It is sharing the same environment. It's sharing the exact same environment that the current one is. I'm just going to keep that up. It is completely by itself right now. We still have a tornado warning down here for McKinney. Let's take a look at that really quickly. Oh no. That's not great. Is this elevated or... Again, this doesn't look super strong on velocity, but the look of that cell is absolutely terrifying. McKinney, please be in your safe place. This looks like a very strong tornado producer. I don't think it has the shear to do anything insane, but it is looking very, very nasty. It's got a nudger, a little bit of a nudger coming in from behind it. I think we could see a tornado in McKinney here in the next couple of minutes. Again, nothing super strong on velocity. Let me just check regular. There's definitely rotation there. I would expect a wall cloud, potentially a very weak tornado headed straight east into McKinney, and it's barely moving. I just managed to crash radar scope. Impressive. All right. So again, we have a potential tornado headed straight into McKinney. Yeah, I know. I noticed. I am losing radar scope. This is fascinating. I'm going to bring it back up. All right, here it is. Tornado potentially in McKinney. Headed into that area. It's just in North Frisco right now. Again, it doesn't look like it's doing any damage. So that is the best part of it. Unfortunately, it's in a very populated area, so if it touches down at all, biggest tornado I've ever seen in my life from Brad Arnold. That's nothing you really ever want to hear. But yeah, this is a dangerous storm moving into the McKinney area. It looks like it's tried to produce a couple of times. Doesn't look like it's been successful. Hopefully it stays that way, but we're gonna keep watching that. Um, let's head back up to our tornado emergency. Yep, new tornado warning as expected for the southern one. We're gonna have to keep watching that very closely, because that could potentially be that could be something to watch for sure. This is observed tornado warning. We have a confirmed tornado on the southern cell. Goodness. Violent tornado just to the northwest of Haviland. Is this going straight east? It's not going straight east, but it's going pretty close to east. So Haviland, please, 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 please still stay in your shelters. You have two tornadoes right in close proximity with you right now. Never something you want to see. That is pretty crazy. Let's take a look really quickly at our surface analysis for this area. Fresh. How am I running out of disk space again? I cleared everything. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I saw that. That is chasers on 54 need to bail. Yeah, no kidding. That is um completely insane. Uh, we are seeing a super violent tornado just next to Haviland. Let's see what's over there, if anything. Haviland is just to the north of that. There's a few structures in this area, but nothing too worrying. Hopefully it stays that way, but it's right over the road here. So I really hope anyone who is chasing in that area is trying to remove themselves from that area as soon as possible. But that is nasty. I hope everyone's clear. Hey, I am having to clear out a couple of more things because I am continually running out of space on my computer and I genuinely do not know. Continuing to watch the velocities on this thing spin up. I mean, it looks absolutely crazy. Let's clear a little bit of space. Oh, it is. I mean, it is stationary headed right next to the town of Haviland. Um, it is right next to them, out in this field somewhere. It's probably impacted these structures here, potentially that homestead as well. Yeah, you were right. It is completely consuming that nudger that's coming in there. Um, Go ahead and crash. Just trying to clear some space, man. Yeah, my system data is up to 200 gigabytes. That's insane. I don't know what's going on. We're gonna keep watching this. It is slowly progressing just to the northwest of Haviland, consuming the nudger. This one looks like the rotation is kind of falling apart just a little bit, which is about all the good news that we're gonna get right now. It's probably gonna pass south of Haviland, unless it occludes, in which case it's going to go straight through Haviland. It's still huge. Oh, clearly it's absolutely massive. I mean, this whole area, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on, but we could have a wedge in this entire area because we have multiple areas of dominant rotation within this absolute monster of a mesocyclone. Chasers are heading north out of Haviland. Please be careful, y'all. This thing is not moving like it should be. It's eating a nudger, so it's going to be doing some weird stuff. But it's headed on a much more northeasterly direction with this right now. All right. As this is passing through, I'm going to take the stream offline. I'm going to reboot my computer and figure out how I can delete the extra 100 gigabytes of system data that it's introduced. So I would be back, definitely deep in the RFD surging back around. The RFD is doing something. I don't know exactly what this is, but it looks like we just have, I don't even know what's going on right now. We could have the Pilger twins for all I know. But I'm going to take the stream back offline. We're going to reboot my computer so I can continue doing the stream, and we'll be back here in a few.